Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Acanfora. Welcome to the Health and Wellness in Bayonne show. Today I have with me Sarah Anfora.
Hi, Dr. Mike.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Great to see you.
Good to see you,
How many
too.
times have we taped this show? About 12, I think.
12, yeah, that's good.
So we pretty much know exactly what we're going to say, and I hope this one is as good as the other ones. So tell us a little about your journey. Like, how did you get here? Not like driving your Hyundai over here. Like, how did you get to become a yoga instructor?
Well, I've always been a creative person. Mm-hmm. I consider myself, that's my side of the brain that works best, I guess.
Absolutely.
And I guess I started out on my wellness journey before I even knew it was a wellness type of path that I wanted to pursue. I was always involved in theater as a kid and doing very creative things, dancing school, and always an active kid. And I wound up eventually going to graduate school for theater, for acting. I have my MFA in acting.
Awesome. And
while I was there, I was introduced to different forms of body work, the Alexander technique, Feldenkrais method, yoga. And at that time, I had started to see you for chiropractic care. And so there was something about the yoga thing that I was like, I think I like this. Okay, we'll just tuck that back there, keep that in mind. And so I was in Hoboken one day by myself, just walking around town, and I saw a little sign for this studio. And so I went in. I was like, oh, let me take class. I have some time. And it was one of those moments in life. One of my favorite people, Oprah, right? She calls it an aha moment. It was one of my aha moments. I took a class with this one instructor, and I left and I was like, okay, all right. There's something about this that I need to find out more. I need to go again. I need to go again. So I went again the next day, and I went again the next day, and I went again and again and again. And I wound up at that studio, who I still work for today. I wound up doing an immersion program, and then I went right into a teacher training program. Wow. So the first teacher training program I did was a 200-hour certification, which is the basic level. It's like the college of yoga.
Of yoga, okay.
And right now I'm in 500-hour training, so adding on another 300 hours to my 200 hours. So, and that brings me here today. I teach several classes a week. I manage a yoga studio. I still pursue my acting and my singing. To express myself in that way, and yeah. So that's.
It's funny, when you came to work in the office, part of the requirement was you had to sing for us.
Not today.
Not today. Maybe later at the end. That's brilliant. Tell me a little bit more about this training. Now, do you do it online? Do you go away? Is there classes? Is there retreats? Like, what is the actual education part of it?
Sure. So I did it in person, right? I would go. All different schools break it down in different ways, but we would do one weekend a month and then one day out of the month. So it was a pretty intensive weekend. And it's broken down. There's set requirements. So you have to do a certain number of anatomy hours, philosophy, the asana, the physical practice of yoga, doing that, assisting, teaching. Doing different hands-on assists, they call it. There are some places that offer online stuff, but I don't like that. It's interesting. Right. Yoga is a very personal thing, and so that makes it very impersonal, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't doubt that it has merits, but that in-person live training, I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah. And so the training that I'm doing now, the second level, the 500-hour, I do up in Massachusetts at this place called Kripalu. Kripalu was an ashram for many years. It's no longer just an ashram. There are people that live there as part of their that program, but they have day-long programs, weekend-long programs about all different things.
Wonderful.
wellness
Yep.
and health and food, the
Sure.
way you eat, I always urge everyone to go there for anything. You could
That's
find
awesome.
something for everyone. So I go there like 10 days at a time.
Okay.
For chunks at a time to do the
That's
500
awesome.
hour.
How far is that from Bayonne?
It's like 3.5. Probably should be closer to 4 hours.
Gotcha. Okay.
Driving.
Yes,
Yeah.
driving. Very good. So tell me a little bit about the yoga that you utilize, and tell me like how many types of yoga is there?
Well, there are a lot of different kinds of yoga.
Okay.
So you'll hear a lot of different terms thrown out there.
Okay.
And people who are newer to yoga are always like, what are these words? So you'll hear hatha yoga.
Sure.
So that's kind of like the big heading.
Yes.
And then from there, you'll have all different branches. So that just means like the physical practice of yoga,
Gotcha.
the poses. And then from there, you'll have Bhakti yoga, Iyengar yoga, Bikram yoga, Vinyasa yoga. So they're all just a different school
Okay.
of that one of Hatha yoga.
Okay. So Hatha Yoga is the parent corporation,
Yeah.
and then all of the subsidiaries
Yeah.
or what is that called? The little companies that are under it.
Right.
So what is the difference between Bikram and one of the other ones?
So Bikram is a very popular one right now. You'll hear it a lot. That's primarily, it's only a heated practice. The rooms are heated. I think they heat them to about like 90 plus degrees,
Okay.
and then plus body heat and all that stuff. It makes it 100 plus.
Sure.
So that's a very specific type of yoga. You'll go in, you'll have the same, I'm not sure because it's not my style. I think it's like 28 poses. They're always in the same order.
Okay.
The room's always the same temperature. You
Okay.
go in, do your thing. That's that. And there's a method to it. And
Sure.
his name is Bikram,
Okay.
who developed that type of yoga. Vinyasa yoga is pretty much what a lot of people practice. It's meaning that it incorporates the breath and the movement of the body to work together.
Okay.
It'll be more of like a flowing practice. You'll
Sure.
typically hear people use that word.
Okay.
Iyengar, Ashtanga, they're all created by different people, and
Okay.
some are very alignment heavy, some are very, Jiva Mukti is a whole lifestyle. It's a beautiful thing.
Okay.
It's, when you're really practice true Jiva Mukti, you'll be a vegetarian, you'll be, you'll buy certain things
Sure.
and use certain products, and, the practice of yoga is very rigorous when
Yes.
you go to class.
Okay.
So they all have a different style. So I always encourage people to do as many types as you can when you're
Sure.
starting out,
Sure.
because not each type of yoga is for each person.
Right.
Some people like heated classes, some people don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you practicing?
I primarily practice vinyasa.
Okay.
Like that's primarily what I teach, and I'm being trained in Kripalu yoga.
Okay.
Up at Kripalu, that's a specific type of yoga that people will practice. Kripalu yoga is really about that there's room for it all in the room.
Okay. Interesting.
We all are coming from a different place in
Sure.
life, and as long as we're all safe in the poses and our alignment, right? It might feel good for you to have your arm in a certain way,
Okay.
and it might not feel good for someone else to have it. So as
Right.
long as the basic, alignment of that, it's speaking in terms of the specific class
Yes.
atmosphere, the
Yes.
class structure. There's room for creativity in the practice, and that's what I like.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it goes right back to your creative
Yeah.
side,
Yeah.
which is neat. It really plays
Yeah.
into your personality.
Yeah, I tend to teach more of like a flowing practice, and more of like, you'll hear me say a lot in my classes, does this feel right in your body today? Or, maybe it felt good yesterday and not today, and that's perfectly fine and okay. And or maybe try if you roll your shoulder while you do this,
Okay.
see how that feels in your body
Sure.
too.
And there's training that goes with that, or is that the like instinctual side of your teaching?
I think some of it's training based and some of it's instinctual, because I also grew up as a dancer. So I also, besides yoga, one of the classes I kind of combine dance and yoga together for a class that I teach.
Sure.
So that's really a free form movement class. And
Okay.
yeah, a lot of it, as I teach more and more, right, we learn constantly as we teach.
Right.
I see what works in certain bodies and what might
Sure.
be the language that I use might work for some people and others. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
How young do you see people doing yoga, and how old do you see them?
Well, typically, the average ages in my classes range from early 20s to I have people in their 60s.
Okay.
I have a wide range of people that I teach.
Very good.
But everyone's doing yoga now,
Sure.
which I think is just so wonderful.
That is
you
wonderful.
know, kids are doing it. Babies and moms bring the infants to
Yep.
do it. Senior citizens now are doing it, and doing a lot of chair yoga classes,
Sure.
incorporating that. Military is incorporating it. They're just not calling it yoga in different ways, and
Right.
there have been great studies that have shown, the influences on so many different groups.
Sure. Talk
Yeah.
to me about some of that science. Like, what are studies showing about people who practice yoga?
Let's see. We'll take prenatal for
Sure.
example. A lot of women who practice yoga while they're pregnant, are able to have a more relaxed birth, let's
easier
say,
childbirth,
an easier
sure.
childbirth,
Sure.
and it's not just because great they've had the physical workout, they've been
Yes.
able to stay physically healthy, but it helps you to stay calm.
Right.
And I haven't had a child yet,
Right.
but I've heard a lot of women say that they say that their baby's such a calm baby,
Sure. Fascinating.
It's a correlation,
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about the stuff, because you know that, like with Facebook, I'm always posting articles, and some of the things that I've read, like with blood pressure, that it really helps dramatically with lowering blood pressure. And I think that's brilliant, because this country has a serious blood pressure problem. So I think that these are things that, when we look at lifestyle, these are things that we really need to pay attention to. And like you said, the prevalence of it in the last 5 years
Yeah.
has grown dramatically.
Yeah, it's grown dramatically, and what's funny is yoga was created as a practice for men, and now, especially in our country, it's dominated by women.
Sure.
And so, I was just watching a movie the other day called Yoga Woman. It just came out, and just about this very same thing. A lot of us will come to the practice for more vain reasons, right? Our physical,
Sure.
wanting to get in shape or
Sure.
look a certain way or be
Yes.
flexible. And then you're there and you realize all the other benefits, on your mind, on your spirituality, on your anxiety, on your
Sure.
blood pressure. And if you're that's why I really like finding out what's right for your body
Sure.
at that time on
Sure.
that day, and if you're working with specific, like if you're working with high blood pressure,
Yep.
right? Practicing yoga in a way that's proper and okay for
Sure.
you to do, just because there's certain things you shouldn't do if you have certain stuff going on.
Sure.
And it's such a beneficial practice.
Awesome. Talk about what you just glossed over that, but anxiety. And I mean, you've seen that in
Myself.
in yourself and,
Yeah.
and other people
Yeah.
who you teach, correct?
Yeah. I mean, anxiety, it's like the word we see everywhere today,
Sure.
right? Everyone deals
Yes.
with it, right? If you're alive, you're dealing with anxiety
Sure.
in a way.
Yep.
Some of us more than others. But I've really found it's been so beneficial for me to be able to see something happening, feel something arise, and instead of just letting that thing or that feeling overcome me, take over, I'm able to be like, okay, this is something that's happening right now. What's really happening?
Right.
And letting it move on and letting it go, instead of holding on to the thought and letting it turn in my
Sure.
mind, and we do the physical practice, right, to get rid of all the physical tension in
Sure.
the body
Yep.
in all the different places that we can, so that we can really truly relax, so that there's nothing in the physical body
Right.
that's taking hold of our mind.
Sure. And
Yeah.
that's what we see in our office, is that where people let the mind, the body is reacting to the mind holding on to that. And we say all the time that women store their stress in certain areas, men store their stress in certain areas. And this is brilliant because this addresses it, and you've seen it in yourself. And we always, as you know, people who are curious and inquisitive, look at things as how can I improve my own life.
Yeah.
But once you realize, wait a minute, I'm not that, you know, special, unique flower.
Right.
Like there's a whole bunch of other people that I could be helping.
Yes,
And
and that's my intention as a teacher. To help people to live their, you know, their best life, their best self physically, to get rid of as much tension as possible.
Absolutely.
And to feel that they can truly find themselves.
Sure.
You know,
so people that are watching, you know, and some of the things that I noticed with you is I don't need to see you as much because you're doing that much better. And that is truly the job of any noble profession, is to make itself obsolete.
Right.
So by you coming in to get adjusted every week, it's not serving a purpose. By you taking care of yourself, you need to see me less often, and you're doing that much better. So one of the funny things is people say, oh, yoga's not physical. But what I noticed with you is your body changed.
Yes.
Like you actually had muscles where you didn't have muscles before. Like you had length in the muscle, you had tone in the muscle, where you were always very petite, but not lean.
Right.
And through your yoga practice, you've become like super lean, which is remarkable. Talk a little bit about that.
It's so funny you say that, because I was actually the other day just thinking about that very same thing, in that when I started yoga, and still I'm even not to a place where, like, we always want it. I always want more. I always want to be better. I always strive for this and that. But my upper body strength was like absolutely nothing. Like couldn't do anything. And through learning through one of my very good friends and favorite teachers, this male teacher who has really helped me through proper alignment and through repetition, coming back to the practice and starting at the basics, and because I can try to jump into doing a handstand, but really, am I engaging the proper muscles? Am I doing it right? Am I, building those muscles over time? And that's the great thing about it. I think for people who need to see tangible results, you can see them if you dedicate yourself to it. Yeah. And the other thing to speak in that same place, like, it is for all different bodies, though. And I think that for someone who is petite, I can be the stereotype of like, oh, well, yoga comes easy to you. You know, like, you know, you're small. You can put your foot behind your head. I can't. Nor do I don't want to. But I don't know if I'll ever be able to. But there is a trend now which makes me so happy of yoga being for everyone. You know, tailoring yoga to men's bodies and their specific issues that they deal with, for women's bodies, for larger bodies, for more frail bodies, for you know, older bodies, and that's it. It can be tailored for everyone.
Absolutely. I have a friend of mine who takes hatha yoga. What's the one that's hot yoga?
Bikram. It's just hot yoga. It's not Bikram yoga.
And says, you know, you want to work out? Go there. And that's no joke.
No, not at all.
And you know, there were a couple guys and you know, like laughing, and then they went and did it, and like, it's no joke. It's for real. Like you're really gonna sit in a puddle of sweat, like, because it's so warm, hot actually in the room.
And to the opposite end of that, you can do restorative yoga, which is the complete opposite, which is totally just for the nervous system. In a way, I think it's more of a workout for you. Maybe you're not sweating. Maybe your muscles aren't like pumped up, but you're dealing with other things that will bubble up. You know, it's more of a physically passive practice, but much more demanding emotionally and spiritually.
Let's talk about that, because that was one of the questions. Talk about the spiritual side of yoga, because it's definitely a component. And does that go back to the origin of yoga?
Yeah, so yoga comes from India. It comes from a spiritual place. And I'll just start with this, that it doesn't have to be a spiritual practice. You know,
Right.
a lot of people, when I started really doing yoga, they're like, "You're joining a cult. You're joining," not
Right.
at all.
Right.
You know, it can be a spiritual thing for you. It can be a physical thing for
Sure.
you. Whatever, right? Like anything in life, whatever you want to get from it
Right.
is what you'll get from it.
Absolutely.
And so for me, it has become a spiritual practice. It is my way that I connect with God,
Yep.
my higher power, and making myself someone who can be of service to this world.
Sure.
And whether that's through being a yoga teacher, whether that's through carrying the principles of yoga into my everyday life
Sure.
and how I treat people
Yep.
that I meet, that I don't know, that I know,
Yeah.
you know, my family, my friends. And so Bhakti yoga is actually the much more spiritual,
Okay.
really deals with spirituality and serving God.
Okay.
And chanting, different chants. You'll hear all different chants maybe
Sure.
in yoga classes, yoga music.
Okay.
I actually do incorporate a lot of chanting into my classes and into my own practice, right? I was born a singer. I feel like I must have come out
You were
singing.
born a singer?
Like
Really?
I sing, right? That's my form of communication, I think,
Okay.
with people. It's where
So
I
Greg
feel
must enjoy that, where you're
Yeah.
singing
Yeah.
as you're talking to
Yeah.
him. Excellent.
where I feel most comfortable.
Sure.
And the chanting aspect of it, right? It's just another aspect, another branch of yoga.
Okay.
And becomes a form of meditation in a way.
Sure.
Chanting one mantra, one word, one name, or
Sure.
whatever it is over and over again to get right out of this physical body, to get out of this crazy mind that probably just spins round and round
Right.
and round all day on probably the same thought,
Yep.
just in different versions of it all day long. To get out of yourself
Yes.
and to chant to something higher than you. For me, it's God. For other
Sure.
people, it might be something else.
Very good.
When I talk about that to people, I don't like to necessarily, for me, it's God. I don't want people to feel that they have to, that has to be that for them, though.
Right.
Because it's just about something higher than you.
Yes.
Whatever that is.
Yep.
Whatever that is.
It's very, when you talk about the chanting, and this goes back to the origins of chiropractic as well, it is vibrational and tonal. And when you are chanting, it is a very tonal, and you can feel it, and it feels good within yourself.
It's believed that whatever word, right, the Sanskrit,
Yes.
whatever, even if if we sit here and we say the word hate and if we say the word love over and over again,
Right.
it's vibrational. Whatever you're saying,
Yes.
it's believed that you're bringing that into the room with you.
Yes.
So whether you're just sitting in a room where a bunch of people are chanting, on some level, you're reaping those benefits
Sure.
too, right? It's
Absolutely.
those moving into your body, into your heart, into your energy.
Yep.
And yeah, you're...
There's a woman, Lynn McTaggart, who's done some work on that. And basically, when you bring a group of folks together and you are of like-mindedness, there's some special things that happen with that, which are kind of neat. And then there's the work done in Japan by the professor who studied water and what you can do with water. And again, people are like, well, that's a bunch of foo-foo. And
I don't believe it's foo-foo.
Yeah, that you can actually
Yeah.
change the structure of water as seen in ice particles just by the thought, just by saying certain words, that the water actually reacts to it. It's kind of neat.
It is. It's neat. And I recently did a workshop on chanting with my mentor. Well, she's still my mentor. She's like, we're on the same level now. I'm like, no, you'll always be my mentor.
That's
But
right.
we taught a workshop together. And it's true, we sat there and just as an introduction, right? You can even just do it at home. Close your eyes and just to yourself say a positive word, love, 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 over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and see how it makes you feel. See how you're sitting when you're done saying it.
Right.
Right? And if you say hate, 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 hate over and over again, you'll probably find yourself feeling a little more like sluggish or right and negative in that space. And all of these things are meant to uplift us. Yoga,
Absolutely.
chiropractic, wellness, health, the way we eat, the choices that we make.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want to do. I want to help people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, because most of the patients that I see will come in and they're sitting all day working at a desk or driving, and they have that slumped posture. And we see that in the schools. And I tell, especially the younger girls, like, all right, you'll sit the way you sit in school. Now take a deep breath in. And how does that feel? Like getting them to be more aware, and then sit up straight, pull your shoulders back, and now take that deep breath. Like there's a definitive difference of how you feel when you have the proper tone, when you have the proper vibration, and just your posture alone, just sitting up. And that's one of the things that I noticed immediately. And going back to the very beginning, I can remember when you came in, because you were still working in the office, and you were in your master's.
I was slumped over,
Yeah.
I remember, with my back pain.
But I can remember you saying, oh, I had this class on alignment. This instructor came in and taught us on this. And then I can remember, like, the light in your eyes when you said, this person came in for yoga, and it really resonated with me. And it's who you became.
Yeah.
And that constant and never-ending improvement that you talk about in yourself, that's called kaizen. It's in a Japanese word for constant, never-ending improvement, which you continue to do every time that you teach another person.
Right.
You're going in that direction.
Right.
You're lending your expertise and your passion to other people. And as your mentor did for you, you in turn are now doing for other people.
Right.
Because there are other people that look at you as their mentor.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is awesome.
It really is awesome. You want to sing now? But what you were going to say?
No, it's really nice to hear that, and it's nice to be reminded of where we've come from on our journey.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, it's always to think about where we're going. It's always, I never would have imagined that I'd even be sitting here talking about this when I started working for you.
Yep.
I never would have thought about chanting or owning a harmonium or meditating.
Yep.
I'm like an Italian girl from Hudson County. You know what I mean?
From Bayonne.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so it's nice to be reminded of that and to incorporate that all the time into my intention every time I come to the mat and teach.
Awesome. So one of the things that you and I have talked about, because we only have a few seconds left, is actually doing some demos in the office in our space.
Yeah.
So if anybody liked that information, you can call the office, 201-858-0444. We're going to get together. We're going to do some demonstrations. Actually, Sarah's going to do the demonstrating. I'll be answering the phone. But thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
This is the 12th time you've been on. You are a rock star. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You got it.